Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. And guys, you're with me, Mike Spider Slayer. You're probably wondering, holy shit, where is everybody else? And let me just tell you, I'm not going to be the only guy here. Brant is coming on very shortly. Kat had to bow out at the last moment. She's got a major migraine, can't kind of function right now. So I'm left solo until Mr. Fowler comes on the air. He was running a little bit late. So excuse me. So that's who you got right now. You just got me, Mike Spider Slayer. So want to welcome to the show. We have Tevia on the show. We have Von Golia Flame, if that's how you say your name. Welcome to the show as well. Brant Fowler is now on the show as well. So he finally made it.
What's up, everybody?
See, he's kind of like shit.
Yeah. It's all good.
So everything good? Everything fine?
Yeah. I was just had to wrap up some things, so I apologize for being late.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to get started before since we have the feed on multiple platforms, that I wanted to make sure I got it started in time before we lost them.
Sure. Yeah.
So we do have a show planned. We got some good news for you guys tonight. I think some of it was last week's news as well. And we got definitely our comic books that we're going to be talking about. So we'll definitely have a good show. And while the show is going on, of course, we will take your questions live and we'll answer them the best that we can. So hopefully you guys will have a good time. And hopefully Kat will return next week. So I want to welcome a couple of the other viewers to the show as well. We got the Black Knight. We got Jimmy G. Addison's on here. Steady Co says, how's it going, Mike? I'm doing good. The Bronze Age says, hey, Mike, hope you're well, bro. I was formerly Terry Vaughn. And Architectural Foam Panels and Columns says, hey. So welcome everybody to the show. We got a nice little group here that's getting started. We did not have a show last week, so it's glad that we could bring you a show this week. Part of it was my fault. I was so sick that I couldn't even basically get out of bed last week. So
yeah, and I was a little bit behind on my reading as well. So it was like, okay, instead of trying to cram to make the show, Mike's not going to be here. We'll just we'll take the week off. So.
Yeah, I was so bad that I was like, I couldn't even move on Sunday and Monday, and I just needed all the rest I could possibly have. And just believe it or not, like I'm still not 100%. I still kind of got this cough. I still have like clogged ears. It's whatever I got was just really bad, but it wasn't COVID. I know that because I even got tested for that even after I did get my vaccine, so
yeah,
crazy stuff. I think it was a flu, like I said.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff. Crazy. All right, guys. So everybody, welcome to the show, like I said. And Brant, you want to kick it off with the news?
Yeah, let's we don't have that much media news, so we'll talk about that first. Sorry, I just had a pop up. I got to dismiss that. But yeah, so we've got a couple of trailers. Actually, they're all trailers. So we're going on a trailer fest here. So we'll start with Buzz Lightyear. But the Lightyear movie trailer came out, and I gotta admit, it looks pretty fun. I've seen all the Toy Stories. I'm into that. Lisa really likes them as well. So yeah, it looked fun. So
yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
It is weird that Chris Evans voices Buzz Lightyear. I just kind of can't get over that. I feel like that's a little bit different, but
yeah.
Hey, I mean, if he wants to go from Captain America to Buzz Lightyear, I guess that's okay, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's got some range. Human Torch, Captain America, that dude from that other comic book movie that he was in. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. So beyond that, we got I'm the only one that marked this, so I'll just cover this one really quick. Morbius. I actually thought it looked pretty good.
I forgot to watch it. I was going to watch it today, and I forgot to watch it. So
I think you'll be surprised with it. It looks pretty good. And there's one scene in it where like some dude says, "Who are you?" and he goes, I'm Venom. And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm Dr. Michael Morbius. So that was fun. Yeah, I thought the visual effects looked really cool, and the story was, pretty spot on, except for he's after blood instead of plasma in this. But yeah, I think you'll be surprised by it.
Yeah. Every time I think of Morbius, like I think of the Spider-Man, the 90s Spider-Man show, and he was
Yeah,
like such a wimp in there. He was just
yeah.
like, Felicia, I need you, Felicia, my darling love, and I crave for plasma. I hated him in that show. I could not stand him.
Yeah, well, it's not that. So he's definitely not that. So yeah, I think you should definitely watch the trailer. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it after you do.
Yeah, I can't believe I totally forgot. It's like I was looking through all the news too, and I'm like, oh, I just got to watch the trailer. I'll be good. And of course,
Yeah,
I forgot. So
I'm the one that doesn't watch trailers,
I
Mike.
know. I
We got
usually
role
watch them
reversal.
all
Yeah,
too. And what it was I clicked on it, and I was like in bed looking through the news and stuff.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh, I can't listen to the sound, so I'll just watch it at another time. And then that's how I forgot. So.
right. Yeah, it happens. That's happens to me all the time. But the last trailer we got is the Boba Fett trailer.
No, I did watch that.
Yeah. I think you told me to watch it actually.
Right.
Yeah, so that was good. It was interesting seeing him on the throne or whatever you want to call it, and kind of wrangling the crime bosses, I guess you'd call them. But yeah, it was. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to go on. It was basically just that. It's like, okay, this is what Boba Fett's doing now, and that kind of sets the stage. But it was still cool, especially if you're a Mandalorian fan. It was definitely in that vein.
Well, it's kind of funny because when The Mandalorian came out, you watched it because of your love of Boba Fett, right? And you're like,
Right,
oh, it's The
right.
Mandalorian. It's the next best thing, towards Boba Fett. Now Boba Fett was, brought back to us again, and now you're actually getting a Boba Fett show, which is really cool because now you want to see, oh, what's he up to these days, and how
Yeah,
he's going to rule, the throne of Jabba and all
right.
that stuff, and he's got what's her face by his side as well.
Yeah.
I think this show has definitely some pretty big potential here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I love Ming Na, and anything that she's in. So that's just a bonus on top of it all. But
Right.
yeah, it's going to be a cool show, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I miss Mandalorian, so I'm ready for something like that. And
When is Mandalorian coming back?
I don't know actually. Let's see.
Because
And
usually it would be out at that same time as when Boba Fett's coming out.
right. Uh, let's see if this might have the release date, or it might just say we don't know yet. Um, I think it may have gotten delayed because of the pandemic and all that.
No,
It
it
just
makes
says,
sense.
yeah, it just says early 2022 at the
Ah,
earliest.
okay.
So yeah, not exactly sure yet. So, but we've got this in the interim, so that's
Well, yeah,
good.
I mean, I'll take it. And plus, we're getting
Yeah,
all the other shows too. Like we'll be
yeah,
watching Hawkeye at that time at the same
yeah.
time.
Right.
So
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So that is all the media news. So we will go into some comic book news or comic news. And let's see, where do we want to go first with this? Speaking of like Disney Plus stuff, we'll just talk about this. Agatha, who was a central character in the WandaVision show, made her appearance in that digital exclusive series with Wiccan and Hulkling that came out this last week. I did not read this, but I think it's cool that they're bringing that show kind of brought her back into the forefront and everything. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's perfect because that shows you the power that Disney Plus actually has.
yeah,
It's not just the movies that are going to be creating buzz. It's also going to be the shows, and it's going to bring up characters that we haven't seen for years. Like, when was the last time you saw her in a comic book?
right,
No
yeah.
one cared about her. Now all of a sudden, it's like her first appearance has gone up in price, and now she's making an appearance in new comic books again. So it's cool to get people interested in that character once again.
Yeah, and especially because, like WandaVision, she's involved in that family because she's going after Wiccan, right? So that's
Hmm.
Scarlet Witch's kid, and
Hmm.
so it just ties it in even more. So it's like, if you were a fan of this, you can go check that out. And being digital comics, that's probably more appealing to people that aren't necessarily comic fans but are fans of the show. So
Right.
there's more crossover potential there. So I think
Yeah.
it's cool. Yeah, and sticking with that, Miss Minutes from Loki.
That's
Uh,
pretty neat, though.
yeah, it might be in this timeless event. At the very least, getting a variant cover featuring her.
See,
So
that would be cool. I mean, think about it. If it's a variant cover and say it's limited, right?
yeah,
Miss Minutes has never been in a comic before.
right,
That's a book that would be definitely a spec book and
absolutely,
would
yeah,
probably be worth a lot of money. In the future. So
yeah,
who knows what they're going to do with that? Like if it's going to be limited, if it's a 1 in 25 or 1 in 50 or 1 in 100, whatever. But you're going to want to try to get your hands on that one. I know people will be all over that.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be hard to find, and especially if she does end up being a character in this event, this timeless event, which would make sense. Just
Yeah.
it's called timeless. I mean, that would be the perfect place for her to get in there. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a spec book, so that's something to watch out for. When is that timeless event?
Soon. I think it's
Yeah,
December.
let's see. Marvel's big 2022 plans. Yada yada yada. December 22nd.
Yeah.
Is when that comes out. So
Because this timeless event is an event that will lead to all kinds of stuff that's going on in 2022 with Marvel. So
yeah, absolutely. I was just reading the comments. Sorry about
no,
that.
that's fine.
Yeah. I think somebody left because we were talking spec books. That's all right though. That's good.
We're not a regular spec person, but that's a
Right.
new character. Like a lot of people are gonna have interest in that book.
Yeah, exactly. Sticking with the Marvel stuff here, we got Thor versus Hulk for the 60th anniversary. This is I think Donny Cates is doing this, right? Like it's like
Yeah. Donny Cates is doing this, so
yeah,
um, like why not? I mean, this
right,
kind of makes sense. These two are classic characters, celebrating 60 years. Why not have them fight each other? And it only makes sense because he's writing these titles. So why not have them cross over with each other? Make Marvel feel like the universe is connected, right? Where
yeah,
I feel like in DC we don't get that nearly
yeah,
as much, where the universe feels connected. And that's
right,
why I've always liked about Marvel for some reason a lot more is just it always feels like some way, some shape or form, whether you have 1,000 events or whatever the case, most of the time their universes work and it feels like one whole thing.
yeah. No, I completely agree. It's definitely more cohesive, and you feel that, and that's always been kind of the difference between the two. But
Right.
you know, each to their own, right? We're longtime Marvel people, but we love DC as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's that kind of thing. So
Mike
uh,
Manhattan has this question. I
yeah,
didn't go too much into it, but he
yeah,
says, "Did you guys hear about the Image Comics Union thing?" I did hear about it,
yeah.
but I don't know like I don't know anything about it. Like what does it mean? Yes, they're forming a union, but why did they form the union? Like I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. So I read a little bit into it. This was one of our potential news topics for the show, but we didn't have a whole lot to say about it. But basically, it doesn't involve the creators. It's just like people that work for Image, like behind like all the other positions at Image, and it's just for better working conditions, better pay, better all better credit, that kind of thing. It's typical things that unions strive to provide for their union members. And, it's something that a lot of people think should have happened a long time ago in this industry. So, it's cool that Image is working with them and trying to sort that out and trying to make their employees happy. And I think it's also to foster a more positive morale around the offices and that kind of thing. So, um, you know, can't be a bad thing, right?
I
So
guess. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to see how it plays
Yeah.
out in the future, you know?
Right.
So, okay, cool. Thanks for the question, Mr.
Yeah.
Manhattan.
Thank you. All right. Next news piece we got. The new Marvel Iron Fist has been revealed, and I did not get a chance to read the story. Kat usually leads these, so I'm a little behind on this one. Did they say who exactly it was, or is it somebody brand new?
I'm not
I don't.
sure. I didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
and I should have
recall.
same thing. I knew that there was a new Iron Fist. Excuse me. I knew that there was a new Iron Fist coming, but I don't know who it actually is. So
Okay, this article says their secret identity remains hidden behind a new costume, so we don't know who it is. It's just somebody that we may not know at all. It may be a completely new character, but it's interesting that they're going that route with Danny Rand stepping down and somebody else taking the.
right. I
And
was going to
I
ask you, do you agree with them changing the character of Iron Fist?
I mean, it depends on what the reasoning behind it is. Like,
Right.
I'm assuming, and I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming it's an Asian character, which would address a lot of concerns about Iron Fist's entire, history and origin and everything. So, if it's somebody from Kunlun, that would make sense. If
Mm-hmm.
it's somebody that was mentored by Danny Rand, that would also make sense. It just
Mm-hmm.
depends on how this character came into this role, I guess.
Right.
So.
Gotcha.
So aggressively relaxing says, "Who would be a cool Iron Fist?" That's an interesting question. Like if we were just going to speculate who could take on the Iron Fist mantle, um, I don't know.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, Colleen from Daughters of the Dragon, maybe.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I
I
really
really don't
don't.
either. Yeah, Shang-Chi. Yeah, I don't know. Amadeus Cho, he's done everything else, so why
Yeah,
not
right.
be
Now
Iron Fist
he
too?
can take over. He was Hulk. Now he can be the new Shaq. I don't know who they could do. I don't know if it could
Yeah.
be some of the maybe one of the characters from Agents of Atlas or something.
Oh yeah, that
And
could
if
be
they have
cool.
like Arrow and there's another swords guy, the
The
sword person.
swordsman, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, any of those characters, or I know like that last Iron Fist mini, he had kind of the small supporting cast that were uh, warriors from different realms or whatever. So one of them could be cool. I don't remember their names off the top of my head, but
I mean, I don't know who else it could be. Like,
yeah. My guess is it's going to be somebody brand new that we've never heard of. So
yeah.
we'll see. All right. Let's see where we're going next. There's apparently a secret X-Men one-shot coming, which this was a last-minute news piece Cat added, so I have not even looked at this
Oh.
one.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's let's see, it's Teeny Howard's writing it, Francesco Mobili and Little Francis Yu are working on it. It's coming out in February. Strong Guy, Forge, Tempo, Boom Boom, Marrow, Armor, Cannonball, Sunspot, and Banshee, the secret X-Men, will unite for a secret mission to the stars.
So
Is
it's
what
like
this one's
X
about.
Factor and X Force combined.
Yeah, in space. So, interesting concept. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I like some of those characters, and we haven't seen we haven't seen Strong Guy for a while, and I love Cannonball, and it's you're talking New Mutants characters there
You got
slash X
Cannonball
Force.
and Boom Boom together.
Yeah, yeah, and Sunspot. So it really is like X Force.
Yep.
So that could be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll check it out. Especially, I mean, it's only a one shot. You got
Right.
nothing to lose for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. If it, Mike Manhattan says, if it's a secret X-Men one shot, how do you know about it? It's a good question.
See,
Secrets
they
yeah.
should have released it just one day randomly. It just pops up on the shelf.
Yeah,
And then you're kind of
exactly.
like, whoa, what is this book that came out, right? Then the
Yeah,
comic shops are like, it's the secret X books that you did not hear about. They
yeah.
need to do more shit like that.
Like
That's what
Kirkman
they
did
need
that
to
one
do.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
with that, what was it, Die 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 or something like that.
Die. I think they just need to do stuff like that to surprise comic book readers, because it's part of one of the main issues I have with comic books today is that there's just no surprise left in it, because everything is always, a lot of it's always spoiled before a book even comes out. I don't have a problem with it when a book is already out,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's free reign, whatever. But before the book comes out and you've got people that spoil things, it's frustrating, right? And
Yeah.
then even same with solicitations are kind of the same way. Like, if you read those descriptions, you get kind of like everything that's going on, and that's just like months and ahead of time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that. It's like Marvel is really bad at this too. They spoil so many stories of their own, weeks before they release and stuff. And it is frustrating because as readers, you want to be surprised sometimes. You want to, there's certain instances where it makes sense to spoil things like the Superman thing we talked about a few weeks ago, because it was tied in with a special day and that kind of thing. So it makes sense sometimes, but more times than not, it's just like, man, why'd you spoil that for me? Now I'm not as excited.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike Manhattan asked real quick, have you seen Dune? I have, actually. I watched that
Did you?
last week. I actually liked it. I don't want to say it's slow. It's deliberately paced is the way I'm describing it.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of setup. It was definitely built to have a sequel. It ends with leading into the bigger story. But there was a fair amount of action. There was a fair amount of drama. There was some urgency in this. There's some things that happened, some casualties, that kind of thing. So, it wasn't just set up, and it definitely did a good job of building the characters up to make you understand each one of their motivations, all that stuff. So I enjoyed it. I definitely think it was better than the original.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you know what I recently watched? I finally got like HBO Max to work properly.
Yeah.
And I watched like 4 or 5 episodes of the first season of Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You like it?
Man, it like took me by surprise. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's just like next level shit right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, that stuff was intense, but I would find myself just cracking up.
I should try it again. The one time I only watched half an episode, and I was at Lisa's parents' house when I was watching it. So I was like, "Yeah, I can't watch this." Yeah, maybe I should give it a shot because I keep hearing good things about it.
There's one episode where Harley and Poison Ivy are at this kid's 13. Oh, it's Penguin's nephew's bar mitzvah.
Oh wow.
And they're there, and like Bane's there, and everybody is there, and just it's like this big shit show. It's so hilarious. I was dying. And it's just like it really pushes the envelope on some of the things that they say that I don't expect it to happen in an animated show, because it's almost like when you see it, you kind of reminds you of the animated series, but it's not, but I it's hilarious. And Poison Ivy is awesome in the show, and same with Harley. Harley is really good in that show too. So I haven't watched an episode in a while because it's like I need to watch it when no one's around, because it is very very explicit, very vulgar, and I can't have the kids around while that's going on.
Yeah, totally. And again, I was at Lisa's parents' house, so it's not really what you want to watch in mixed company. So yeah, I should give it another shot. I don't think I was fair to it to be like 10 minutes in. Now I'm not watching this. So I'll at least watch an episode or two and then make my my judgment of it or whatever. All right, so moving on, we've got the Slingers to return in Spider-Man. Tebby has asked us about this a couple of times, and it is on our list, so we'll talk about that. So, are you excited about this? Do you care? I'm indifferent about the return of the Slingers.
What are the Slingers? I don't remember them.
They originally started out as 4 separate alternate superhero identities used by Peter Parker at a time when it was too risky to be seen as Spider-Man. So taking on, this is what the article says, taking on a different identity for each of his 4 ongoing Spider-Man titles of that era. It was Hornet, Ricochet, Dusk, and Prodigy. So apparently they're returning in some form or fashion in Beyond. So I'm assuming it's not going to be Peter, obviously, since he's in a coma. So I'm curious to see which characters are going to take that role. Again, this was another story that Kat dropped in at the last minute, so I hadn't had a chance to look up.
I remember these guys. I got the article pulled up now.
Yeah. Looks like maybe Prowler.
Oh, yeah. I remember these guys. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care about those guys. They're not gonna like make or break the comic for me. Not at all.
Right. It looks like Prowler is one of them. I don't know who the rest of them are, but yeah, I mean it's fine. It kind of makes sense with the story that they're telling. Like if it's the Beyond Corporation that's hiring them and putting them out there, that would make sense as well. Or if it's some kind of rival corporation, who knows?
I kind of can't wait to see like how the whole thing like goes to shit for Ben Reilly. That's what I'm looking forward to. And when he just says forget about it, I'm not dealing with these people anymore.
Right. Yeah. You know that's going to happen. It has to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we got two more stories. We'll go with DC's Is Superman going to die? I think this is a largely speculative article that was put out, but it's kind of based on the things that have been happening in the Superman books, which, you know, neither one of us are reading like Action or Superman, but we are reading, you know, Son of Superman. And so we get a little bit of that. So we know this whole War World saga begins tomorrow. And supposedly Superman is going to disappear. That's what John found out when he was with the Legion in the future. This was the point where Superman disappeared, and you know he took the mantle. That was the whole thing behind Future State and all that. Mm-hmm. So the speculation is: are they going to kill Superman off again, or what's going to happen with him going forward? So, what do you think? Do you think they're going to kill off the Big Blue? I don't know.
I don't care.
You don't care?
Because if he's dead, I don't care, because first of all, he's not even on Earth, right? He's Elseworld. And if Superman dies, you know he's coming back. They're not going to kill him off. Like,
yeah, of course.
And it's something that we've already seen. So we're doing it just to celebrate his death, like just to celebrate when he died originally. So we're just going to do it again, like as many years later.
Yeah.
I don't, that's to me, that just to do it. I think it's just stupid. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And it's like, so with Future State, we've talked about this in recent shows. It's like certain aspects of that event are coming to pass, but certain ones are completely different. Like in the Bat books, especially this week, it seems like things are taking a turn, and it's not going to go exactly how it was going to go in Future State, right?
Right.
So certain things are being prevented or being swerved or whatever, because it was just one possible timeline, right? Or however you want to look at it, time travel, yada yada, or future prophecies and all that stuff. So, for John to rise and take that mantle, something has to happen. So obviously I think they're going forward with this disappearance thing, but I think it would be smarter to be like, okay, this is not the last time we see Superman. He comes back in, a year, a few months, whatever. And, you have this big reunion between the two, and John doesn't go down that terrible path that Future State took him. And that's what I would want. That's what I would do. But, I guess to make John take on that mantle, he does have to be out of the picture. But he already is, because he left Earth and he's fighting this War World thing. So,
and as it is, though, Superman fans, Clark, right, are obviously already upset because he's not in Earth.
Yeah.
And he's not, you know what I'm saying? And they already took away his second book, so John's in it now.
Yeah.
And so now if you kill him off, what do you do with Action Comics until then?
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. it's
It it,
just it's
it
just
becomes the Superman family,
yeah.
Supergirl, Crypto.
Figure drawing says that's funny. That made me laugh because I remember that line. Quoto Drago from Rocky Four. If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I just don't think it's necessary to kill off Superman. Like I
yeah.
think a lot of people are pissed off based off of the situation with John. To me, it doesn't bother me. Like I'm fine with that book and I'm fine with what they're doing with that character. But for the people that love Clark,
Hmm.
I think people are going to be really upset if they kill him off and he's not around at all, period, for a while.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I would rather he just be off world and they do that whole story in action. Something happens where he's missing, but we see those adventures. Whatever. He's prisoner. He's fighting gladiatorial battles. I don't care what you do with him. Just keep him present so he's coming back. And in the other books, you deal with them thinking he's gone and that loss, and then you can build to that reunion. I think that's a
Right.
better way to go. So we'll see what happens with it, though, or we won't because we won't be reading action. But we'll keep reading Son of Kal-El, though. That's a good book.
Gotcha. Here's a comment from earlier from Parker Luck. What's that? He says those were the characters during Spider Hunt storyline after Norman Osborn's return from the end of
Ah,
the '90s Clone Saga.
okay,
So that's where that come from.
gotcha.
And then I don't remember this, but Figure Drawing said he died in Batman vs Superman. Are we talking about the movie? Is that what we're talking about? Or a
Who
comic book?
who are we talking about?
Superman
Superman
dying, I guess.
again?
That's what we were just talking about is Superman. So
Yeah,
is that what we meant there? So I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right.
Well, we'll see, and we'll talk about it on the show, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
we only have one more news story. We have Vault is going to publish a book via Kickstarter. It's called With Wolf, I think is what it's called. So another company going to Kickstarter, and it's actually got 3 days to go. So it is already almost $40,000. So it's very
Wow.
successful. Yeah,
That's pretty good. Yeah.
their goal was actually pretty ambitious. It was 20,000, but
Was it really?
yeah, they've almost doubled their goal though. So that's really cool. Congrats to Vault for that. It is really nice art. But yeah, it's just interesting to see more and more publishers, indie publishers, smaller publishers, small press, and things like that going to the Kickstarter platform. It's just proving how big of a part of the industry Kickstarter is these days. So
Oh yeah, true.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And speaking of, since we're talking Kickstarter and that is all our news, I'll go ahead and plug my Kickstarter.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so let me pull it up so I can screen share it here. Close that. All right, it looks like I got a backer since I last looked, so that's cool. Here we go.
Yeah, we had one of our one of our viewers said that they backed you.
Nice, thank you
Yeah.
so much. So this is In the Land of the Dragon, issue 1 of the Cyberpunk Fantasy comic book series about a mercenary named Kenzo who's tasked with kidnapping and protecting this child who could shift the balance of power between two warring corporations, the Dreamless and the Children of the Kingdom of Heaven, I think is what the other corporation is called. So a lot of underlying themes in this story, but we just finished our first week. We launched last Tuesday, and we're already I think like 54% funded, so that's really cool. So one of the bigger goals that we've asked for, so we're thrilled with that. We've got several variant covers, including that one from Fabiano Mascalo, who did Firefly brand new verse, and we've got, I'll wait till it cycles back around. This one by Federico Sabatini, who recently did Darkhold Blade for Marvel and does Star Wars Dr. Aphra, as we were talking Star Wars. So you can check out all this. We got some limited edition metal covers that we're doing for the first time on this campaign. Incredible creative team behind this one. Luca Frigario, Lorenzo Rees, Stefano Ronconi are the art team. You can check out more about the rewards and everything on the page. You can see we got digital versions, physical versions, limited edition holo stickers, all that cool stuff. So if you're into cyberpunk, you like Akira, Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, even Tron or Sucker Punch, things like that, this will be right up your alley. So go check it out. You can check it out at lastemberpress.com/dragon, and I will drop that link in the comments below. So thanks for checking that out.
Very cool. All right. And so, guys, go ahead and back it up if you want to, and it definitely helps out Brant and everybody else involved in that Kickstarter. Excuse me. Mike Manhattan asked, have you seen the picture of the live-action Gundam? It shows the mobile suit in live action. I did not see that.
I have not seen that either.
Cool.
Yeah.
When did that drop, actually?
Yeah. Superman died in the 90s and Bane broke Batman's back. The worst part was how it was handled. You'd think they would put great artists, writers on those event books. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I did enjoy like the Reign of the Superman. That's actually what got me into DC Comics at the time, the Death of Superman and the Reign of Superman. But
so yeah, at the time though, like all that stuff like was new. Like you didn't see that much death.
Right.
You saw Superman was the one to die first, right? I think.
Yeah.
And then wasn't it who was it? Was it Jason Todd? Right? Wasn't he next?
He might have been before that. I don't remember. Yeah, I think he might have been in the 80s, Jason Todd, like the tail end of the 80s.
And then Superman was like the first major character to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was huge. It was like, I remember it was like all over QVC. It was all over everywhere,
right?
All over the news. It was a huge deal.
And then you had this whole Batman thing that happened with him breaking his back.
Yeah,
but then you started getting a whole bunch of DC characters that wound up getting replaced at that timeline.
Yeah, I guess Flash would have been technically the first because in Crisis, in '86. So yeah,
and Supergirl died during that event too.
Yeah, Supergirl and Flash. So, but as far as like the Trinity, the of DC, definitely the first of those, I believe.
I think I have both of those issues. I think I have the Flash and Supergirl. The death of those characters.
Yeah. I don't know if I have the death of Superman or if I missed the boat on it. I don't remember. I think I would remember if I had it, so I probably don't. I actually have the issue, unfortunately. It was like polybagged with a black bag and like a red. Yeah.
I know. I don't think I have that issue, but I have the Resurrection and I have all the Reign of Superman. Like I have all that also.
Yeah, I have a good chunk of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have the Death of Superman trade. I do have that.
Do you?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an exciting time. Now it's just everyone dies all the time. I mean, you look at the X-Men, for example, they die left and right. They didn't die for years, but ever since you can get resurrected, it's like, oh, we're going to die every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a little bit frustrating.
Right.
But that's why it doesn't, like, if someone dies, it's not a big deal. Like, you see it too often.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen with DC anyway? So Superman dies, right?
Yeah.
This event that we're going to get from DC, whether it's a Crisis or something else that's going to happen next year, it's all going to be erased and everyone comes back anyway.
Oh, yeah, totally. No doubt about that.
All the future state stuff, all the stuff that's leading into, all that future state, it will be completely undone.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see where DC goes again.
Right. Exactly.
So we will see.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So keep putting in those comments and those questions, and we'll get back to you as much as we can. Okay. Okay. So here's the comment here that just popped up. Jason Todd died in 1989 during Batman's 50th anniversary when the Batman movie came out as well. So it was 89.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think Superman was after that still. I thought it was like in the early 90s, I think, when Superman died.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely definitely early 90s, 92, 93, somewhere around there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. So you want to talk about some comics?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So let's talk about it. I'm curious to hear what you guys got to say about this one. This was one of the biggest DC books, if not one of the biggest books released of the week. This was Dark Knights of Steel, issue 1. The time period here was set in medieval times when Jor-El and what's her name? Was it Laura?
Laura, yeah.
Is gets shipped out from Krypton, and she's pregnant with Clark. And instead of being in present day, they actually are in medieval times, and they wind up setting the House of L there, a castle, and everything else. And then you get to learn a little bit about some secrets there about Batman and Superman's relationship. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. But seeing these characters in this time period was actually quite interesting. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Like when I first heard about this, I was like, "Oh, great, another Elseworlds. Oh, it's Dark Ages for DC," and
Right.
and I thought the same thing about Dark Ages, and then I read that, and I was like really impressed by it. And the same thing here. I read this, and I really liked the concept. It was interesting displacing them and putting them in medieval times, and what that would mean for all these characters. And I thought they handled it really well. You got like the fear of magic and that kind of thing, which played into this, and you have these not just Clark or Kal-El, but his parents, coming with him, which is something we haven't really seen either that I recall. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the art was really beautiful as well. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to see, like, Batman and Superman in this didn't kind of see eye to eye at the
yeah,
end. You know what I'm saying? So now that Batman found out who he is, do you think this creates a divide between them? And do they go their own separate ways?
yeah. I mean, they were already kind of at odds. So I mean, and that brings into our main topic of the show. It was kind of revealed in this book. Spoiler alert, that that they're half brothers in this
Yeah.
timeline because Jor-El and Martha Wayne apparently got it on, and the result was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Or Bruce L, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, Technically
Super Bat.
speaking, yeah, Super Bat. And it was like he finds out because they catch Black Canary, who they're calling Banshee, who like goes full force with her abilities on him, and it barely phases him.
Right.
So it's like, okay, what's going on here? Why does Batman have superpowers? So that's an interesting twist, seeing Batman with superpowers, because that's not something that's usually explored. And then the fact that they're brothers or half brothers or whatever, and it also makes Batman a full on claim to the throne prince here.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's implications there as well, especially because here, like in normal continuity, Bruce thinks he knows better, thinks he's the protector, he's the smartest man in the room kind of thing. And so is that going to cause some tension to where now he feels like he's got to take charge, to protect the kingdom and all this stuff. So
I think Superman is going to be pissed, and he's going to blame Batman for his father's death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could finally see like a fair fight between Superman and Batman with no kryptonite rings,
right?
And just going at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you think about Green Lantern and Green Arrow?
Yeah.
Teaming up, like kind of like old school, because you know how they always would have their own book, and they're teaming up together to stop, obviously to destroy the kingdom or the house in itself, take out the king. I thought that was an interesting scene there.
Yeah, and to make it even more interesting is we don't know exactly who this Green Lantern is. We didn't see he wasn't called Hal.
Right.
We don't know if it's Hal. Maybe it's Sinestro. Maybe it's somebody else.
It could be. I mean, it could be any Green Lantern that maybe it could be Kyle Rayner.
Yeah, and is the ring like a Green Lantern ring, or is it kryptonite?
That is interesting because the only way to obviously that he got killed was it was enchanted with kryptonite.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, an arrow through his eye was not going to kill him. right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that leads me to believe that it's kryptonite. So it could literally be anybody. It could be Lex Luthor. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see who that is and what the motivations there are. But it's just like flipped everything on its head. It's a really interesting take on what if Superman ruled the world kind of thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed it. So.
What'd you think about Batman and like his Robins? It was
Oh yeah, like his little squires. It was,
yeah,
yeah, it was cool. It fit totally, and Batman being a knight and having the armor with the bat
yeah,
helmet and everything, just it fit so perfectly. And you would call them Robins. I mean, squires, Robins. It's kind of
yeah,
similar. And we saw all of them here too. You got Duke, you had Stephanie. So
yeah.
I enjoyed that
And you even had
incorporating all of them.
Harley that plays the Jester, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, would have been one of my panels probably if I'd made the cut for that. So, by the way, you guys can go check out the panels at comicfrontline.com. I'll share that link in a little bit. But yeah, no, that was cool. That I want to see more of Harley in that role too. So it's
Yeah,
fun. It's always fun seeing reimaginings like that.
yeah, absolutely. I love this book, and
Yeah,
let's see what we got. A comment here. It says Dark Knights of Steel reminds me of great fan fiction, and that's fine. I mean, I feel like these books, Elseworld stories, if done right and not cheesy, can be really great stories because you're let loose on things. You're not strapped by editorial to make sure you do this and make sure you do that. And that's why I think people appeal to these more, right? That's why like people appeal to like Sean Murphy's Batman, Injustice, Deceased, this for instance, Dark Ages. Like people love these stories because it has the characters that you love in it, but you can do whatever you want, and that's what makes it so much fun.
yeah, absolutely. And then you pair great writing with great art to make these stories come to life, and it just makes it even that much more exciting and better all around. And that's kind of what we got here. So, I mean, it's Tom Taylor, right? And I wasn't familiar with the artist, but I looked them up, and very talented art. So, following them on social now.
Yeah, but if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely check out that first issue. I think you'll really enjoy it. It was a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah.
All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. Let's talk about crossover issue 9. Did you read this one?
I did read this one. Yeah, I I enjoyed it, but and I think it was probably a little bit stronger just because of some of the in jokes in this issue. But at the same time, it does feel like we're almost in a little bit of a holding pattern, waiting for the next big reveal kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, there was a lot of vague teases about who this person is, prattling on about all the secrets and everything. And I did appreciate that because it sounded like maybe that character is Brian Michael Bendis himself, because they talked about how he wanted, if he had his way, the entire world would just be people sitting talking in rooms.
Right.
And that felt like very Bendis thing, and especially because the Powers characters are so prominent right now in the current arc. So it's fine, it's fun, but and I love like all those little teases and little surprise characters that you may not expect, and all that kind of thing, and how Elle was trying to like figure out what part of the series this version of the Powers people were from, and that kind of thing. So it's fine. It's just not as exciting as the concept was when it first came out.
Right. I love like that was in my panels actually this
Yeah,
week, the quippiness between the Powers characters.
right.
I thought that was funny. And I thought it was hilarious. Well, I didn't think it was hilarious, but I thought it was an interesting twist about these comic creators can't die because what happens if the comic creator dies? The comic characters themselves are going to die. So I thought
Yeah,
that was kind of an interesting little twist in there. But there was definitely a lot of dialogue or what was nothing, like you said, nothing really progressed the story as much. It
yeah,
took a lot a lot of exposition to get to where we got to in that issue, but it was
Yeah,
still entertaining. I liked it. I just wanted to pick back up and get like more exciting. I want to see where the
yeah.
plot's going to go now from here.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like I said, it made sense because if you were selling the Bendis thing and powers, that you needed that wordy, talking heads kind of thing, because that is totally Bendis. So it made sense. But like you said, I want some more movement in the story. We've gotten a bunch of teases. This is ultimately a murder mystery between two worlds. It's basically Roger Rabbit in a serious tone.
Yeah.
So I want to see where that goes from here, like you said. So yeah, we need some progression to happen in the next issue.
Absolutely. We have Comics Fun. Was it Sticks Boy 73?
Yeah,
Says, hey guys, been a long time since I've watched. Glad to be watching live. So welcome.
yeah. Thank you for tuning back in.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have 62 Left Y Blues. It says station figure drawing. So welcome to the show. Sounds like a football play.
Yeah.
62 Left Blues. Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think they did to Grant Morrison? What's it say? In
crossover. I don't know. It's probably trippy whatever happened to him though.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I love how all the people are dying. No, I
Yeah.
really like that. I think that's very creative.
Yeah, it's very meta, as Kat would say.
Yeah.
And it is. It really is. And it's just all these creators having fun. Kind of incorporating their real lives into this fictional world. It's kind of fun to do that sometimes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, so along with us talking with our big books, we always give our top 5 of the week. So, Brant, I'm going to start off with you. What was your number 5?
Mine was the Me You Love in the Dark issue. What issue are we up to now? 4?
Yeah.
So this was a solid issue. I think is it the penultimate issue? Is it just?
I think so.
Yeah. So in this issue, we saw the other side of this creature that lives in the dark, and how possessive they can be, and not letting her leave, and wanting her to send away her friend that dropped in, or her agent, whatever he is. And that kind of thing. So he was raising his voice and kind of getting not violent, but aggressive, definitely aggressive.
Well, the dude's in his house. He's in the ghost's house.
Yeah, exactly. So we're getting to that point to where we're going to see exactly what this creature is and what he's capable of. And I thought that buildup was really nice throughout the issue. Kind of, building off last issue where she brings him into the most intimate place, right? To her bed. And then kind of springboarding off of that to, okay, got what I want. Now you're mine. And now you can't have anything but me. If you try to get anything else, and it was just like, man, that's
yeah. They're like an old married couple. I mean, just everything was getting on their nerves. Like, keep the curtains closed. No, I want them open. Let me go out for a night. No, you can't leave,
Right.
And it was insane. And then it's like the guy comes over, like he said, and it was just like, he's like, get him out of my house. And you can feel the tension in this book when you were reading it. This book, what it does so well is that it doesn't have a lot of dialogue, but the way the art is drawn and the characters' emotions on their face is absolutely amazing. And you feel that Ro is just in pain and she needs to get out, but she doesn't know how to express that to, her agent or whatnot. And then by the time you get to the end of the issue, it looks like you're going to see this creature like eat this guy or whatever it is,
Yeah. And that's another thing we can praise about the book is the lettering, because that plays a big part into it. Like when he's just being his normal self, this creature, it's just like normal. And then when he raises his voice, it's just like this, because it's a lot of floaty text because he's a ghost or whatever he is. And so we've seen that throughout it, and the music the interesting way that the art illustrates the music that's playing throughout the house and stuff like that. But like the lettering just gets like large and bold and
Yeah.
kind of just aggressive and that kind of thing, and it you know enhances that experience like you were talking about with the art and everything too. So yeah, this is a good series.
Yeah.
I highly recommend this one, and I can't wait to see how that plays out and what actually happens to conclude the story. So
Absolutely. For me, this is Scotty Young's best series for me. I
yeah,
know he's had other series. I know other ones have lasted longer, right? I mean, we had Middle
yeah,
West, which was good. It was a
hmm
long series. It was good, but I feel like for a real like mini series like this is phenomenal for me. And
yeah,
he also did I Hate Fairyland, which you know how I thought about that book.
yeah,
And so, and now he's doing Strange Academy.
yeah,
But this is just a whole other level for me. And
yeah.
I just really enjoy it.
And it also shows his range. All those books you talked about are all completely different,
Yeah.
but yet you still get that same kind of not same tone, but this same a similar vibe from his writing style. That you can say, oh, this is a Scotty Young book, but it's in a completely different realm. From each one of them is a completely different realm. So it's interesting. He's a very talented dude.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. We get a question here from Alex Santana. Says, you guys reading May's book? I am.
yeah, you and Kat are, I believe.
Yeah.
I am not.
I really enjoy that book as well. Very interesting concept. I can't wait for the next issue for sure.
Sweet.
Let's see. Anything else? I'm missing some. Mike. What we got here? Went and got Silver Coin series from issues 2 through 6. Still going to be on the lookout for issue 1 on your recommendations. Yeah. We'll talk about Silver Coin in a little while. I love that issue, man. That issue was crazy. And okay. Oh, we're talking about the Image founders, so that's what they were talking about in the chat.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
gotcha.
All right.
I will share that one. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Keep up the great work. You guys are so awesome.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right. So my number 5 was actually Primordial issue 2.
Okay.
I like that book. It's really a quick. I mean, maybe it takes you like 2 minutes to read this book, but it's on the. It's basically about the Russian dog, Laika, and
Yeah,
you see everything from the point of view of the Jack Russell. I think that's the type of dog that it is. And once again, whenever a book has to do with an animal like a dog, I'm always a sucker for these things. And you basically see the dog going through like this different dimension and everything in the beginning of
yeah,
the issue. And the artwork is just, wow, it's just way out there. And then it's like, and then you see his like whole life from like when he was an abused dog to when he got picked up and then he got prepped to go into space. And I love seeing all that. And if you take your time and you look at the artwork, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I really like the book. And then at the end, you wind up seeing the doctor meet up with the, I guess the person that took care of the dog. They wind up meeting with each other at the end. And I
yeah.
guess maybe they're going to find out what happened to this dog. So
Cool.
I thought it was cool, man. I liked it. I really did.
Who publishes that one?
That one's Image.
Image. Okay.
Yeah. So you got Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino on the book.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I remember you talking about it now.
Got it. All right. So next we're gonna move on to another new Image book that came out this week, which is New Burn issue 1. This reminded me of like Law and Order, CSI, but with the mafia.
Yeah.
And I thought this was an interesting concept. This is done by Chip Zdarsky. And I like this story. I was like, man, Chip Zdarsky should be like a freaking cop or investigator or something, man. Because the way he put this whole story together, full circle from when the case was, first opened up to the very end and how he solved it was absolutely amazing.
Hmm. I mean, it was very well written. I agree with you. I don't think it's my thing, so
Right.
I
I
didn't
could
enjoy it
see
as
that
much.
though.
Yeah, I actually read like a third of it and had to put it down and come back. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
man, I was, to be fair, it was like at the end of the day, I was like, I'm too tired to get
You're
into this right
tired,
now.
yeah.
Yeah,
You need to be
um,
sharp for this book.
yeah. Which, I agree with you. The way that he basically solved this crime, and it's interesting that he's a former cop, but now he's kind of a consultant for the cops, but also works for all the mafias. So he's in this interesting position where he's untouchable, which I thought was a really cool twist that you
Yeah.
don't see a whole lot. It's like he can't do wrong by anybody, like cops or mafia.
Right.
You can't touch this guy.
And if you
And
do, you're going to get killed.
yeah, by everybody.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what is this dude's angle? And the twist with him, spoiler alert, asking the perpetrator to basically work for him
Yeah. I was like, what
was
is
really cool too.
this?
Yeah,
Like, what the hell is that about, man?
yeah,
So it was
so,
pretty cool.
yeah. So yeah, it's cool. I don't know that I'll keep reading it just because it took me a while to get into it, but it was definitely very well put together. I'll give you
Yeah.
that.
I could say that this is not necessarily always my thing either. So
Yeah,
I'll see how long I'll enjoy it for. This is a series where very easily that if you don't pay attention to it, you can forget what happens. So that's why, like I said, you got to be reading this book like when your mind is sharp.
yeah,
Because if you skip over something or whatever it is, you can miss a very key moment in a book in this book.
yeah.
So it's tough. And as many books as we read each week,
Right.
it's very easy for us to have things that kind of mush together, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see this translated into other media though, for sure.
oh yeah, absolutely. This is made for a show.
Yeah,
This is definitely
absolutely.
made for a show.
Hmm.
Alex says, shout out to Mike for fighting through that sickness last week. I appreciate it. I'm still trying to get through. I'm almost through it, but I'm still a little sick. But I appreciate that. Yeah, making those videos last week was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Trying to do that and not cough. I mean, I did cough a few times and I edited it out, but my gosh, it was like every little word I said, I felt like I was just going to bust out coughing. It's horrible.
Yeah,
So
that
bad.
sucks. I'm glad you're feeling better, man.
Thanks. I appreciate it. All right. So let's talk about Strange Academy presents The Death of Doctor Strange. This is a waste of time. I did not like this book at all. I'm like, I saw the artwork in it to begin with, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
it's the Weird World freaking artist.
Yep.
And then they're actually go to Weird World. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. I'm like, I could see that. Like, at least they got the same artist that did that book during the whole Battle World sequence, like, get back into the whole thing. But then the book legit has to do with freaking Enchantress and the twins, and it's just like it's about Enchantress. It's not even about
Yeah.
freaking Doctor Strange. I was like, that's so freaking lame.
Yeah. If this was just like a one shot about them, it would have made more sense. Like, I understand the implication. Oh, because Doctor Strange died, this demon is released from his, or this whatever he was
Right.
released from the stone or whatever. Um, so I mean, it's a very loose tie-in to
Very,
the
very
death of Doctor
loose tie-in.
Strange, just to tell that story that ultimately meant nothing in the end, because everything was put back the way it was, before he was taken. So it's like, okay, everything's good now. And then you just get like these one-page things that Scotty Young wrote and different artists drew, showing where each character is after Doctor Strange's death. It's like,
That's what
okay,
they had to do to make it more of a tie-in. To
yeah,
be like, oh, the
exactly.
school's closed. You're gonna go home. So here's this guy, and here's that guy, and here's that guy. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I spent money on this comic. I'm like, I'm not
yeah,
buying any more tie-ins when it comes to Death of Doctor Strange.
yeah. The fact that Strange Academy comes out tomorrow, you could have just threw in all those one pages at the back of that and made it a oversized issue and just been done with
Absolutely.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely. There was no reason to release that book. It
I
really
agree.
wasn't. And I know they had an Avengers one recently come out, and I
Yeah,
didn't read, I didn't even buy that
no,
one.
yeah, I
But
didn't either.
I thought out of any book here that would
Right?
tie in really well, and to maybe get you a little bit of an aspect like, what if Strange doesn't come back? Like, are one of these kids going to take over? Like, I thought they would dive more into depth about that, and they didn't. I think that
Yeah.
I feel like they really missed the boat there on that crossover.
Oh, I completely agree. It was like you said, it was a waste of time, and I don't know. It bugs me that it was labeled with the death of Doctor Strange because
Yeah,
it wasn't really about that at all.
it's crap.
So.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about our number 4. What was your number 4?
My number 4 was Radiant Black. A little lower this week or this month, whatever. It was still solid, but just nothing happened. Right? It was all about how he's basically coping with everything. How Marshall's coping with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Coping with Nathan being in the coma and on death's door stop, whatever you call it. I don't know what the phrase is, but about to die. They're about to take out the tube and call it, and him trying to figure all that out. And you're seeing his day to day, and how he's gradually coming to terms with different things. With he's trying to work out this deal with these YouTubers or whatever. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot there, but the ultimate takeaway from this is that Nathan's still alive and there's a way to save him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you take away from this, and how that tension and that drama built up through the issue to bring him to that conclusion of, wait a minute, there is something I can do. So for that reason, it did kind of make my top 5. Plus, I just love this book. So
Right. This was number 6 for me because even though nothing much happened in the book to progress the story, except the end where it's like like you said, he figured out a way to save him. I did appreciate the love that Marshall had for Nathan, and how much he cared for him as a friend, and
right,
and how he how he does live his day-to-day life ever since the whole incident just happened, and eat cereal on the porch, and you got those kids that always rag on him, and then it's just like how he goes to work and he tries to figure out like the next best thing that's going to make him money.
right,
And just I like that stuff, just in the day-to-day, like he's got these superpowers now, and now nothing is happening except he's just fighting some wannabe villains, and then at the end he calls for that higher power to figure out, hey, what's going on. I know he's alive. So I like that. This is definitely a good story, and you're not going to get every issue where they're, the Radiants are going to be battling something. If in order for the story to get better, you got to flesh out these characters. And
absolutely.
I like how, maybe Nathan is not out of the picture yet.
Yeah, I like that, but then it brings in the question, like, what happens with the Radiant? I mean, does he take back over? Marshall's already kind of invested in this, and he saved the world, so it's and that power did tell him that there would be a sacrifice or whatever. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I agree with you. All that day in the life of stuff is necessary for those characters, and it kind of reminds me of. There's a show I'm watching on Apple called Mythic Quest, and it's about like this video game developer. Mm-hmm. But like certain episodes, they just completely detour from what's going on to tell you like the backstory of this or that, and or it's like a flashback to this thing that happened that kind of shaped what's going to happen here, and it's like completely different tone and everything, and that's kind of what this issue reminded me of a little bit. Is like, step back. Let's take a look at the life of, and kind of build from there, and it gets you excited for that next issue, because it's like, oh wait, Nathan's alive. All right, so yeah, right. I'm on board with it, and I do think it's good storytelling. It was just a little bit of a slower issue as well.
Sure, yeah, I agree with you. It took me quite a while to read that book.
Yeah.
All right, so Figure drawing says at first I wasn't into Radiant Black, but I got into it after a few issues. Yeah, I liked it from the start.
Yeah, I did too.
I do like the way it's written. I like the concept, and it is not a Power Rangers thing.
No.
The only
Yeah.
the only resemblance of it is you got a bunch of people wearing suits that are different colors. That's basically about it.
Yeah. It's definitely it takes the very seed of that idea of Power Rangers and like just blows it up in something completely different.
Right, exactly. All right, and my number 4 is the Silver Coin issue 6. Did you read this?
No, I haven't read that series at all.
This would have taken you about a minute to read.
Really?
This was a quick read. So this was the best issue yet, though, when it comes to the Silver Coin. So this boy, he goes to the arcade, right? And he plays this video game. It's like a Mortal Kombat game, right? And he gets his ass beat. Like, he's just horrible at this game. And the arcade manager is just like this older kid. He always plays the other kids in this game. And it's just like, instead of like fatality, it's like slaughtered, that's what it says. So the kid's like gets kicked out of the arcade because the security guy's like, you can't hang out here if you don't have any money to spend. So he goes they're in the mall, right? And so the kid goes into the fountain, and what does he do? He steals money from the fountain.
Of course.
And he finds the silver coin in there. Obviously, that's the thing that he grabs. So he goes and he puts the money in the machine, and he starts playing, and he starts winning, right? And he winds up beating the manager, and he's like, no way. And then everyone's like, next, they line the quarters up on the machine, like you did when you were a kid.
Right.
And so he starts playing, starts kicking everyone's ass, and and he starts pressing the button so hard his fingers start to bleed, and like he starts sweating, and then he starts like kind of like his eyes open up, and he starts like getting like integrated into the game a little bit. And then it comes time to close, and the manager's like, all right, kid, you got to go now. And he's like, no. He's like, kid, you got to leave. And then all of a sudden he grabs him and he shoves his head into the freaking joystick, and it goes through his eyeballs and everything else. Security guy's like, what's going on here? All of a sudden he turns around, and he's like a creature from the game. And he takes the joystick and he takes it out of the freaking arcade, right? And it becomes this scythe, and he slices off his freaking hands and shit.
Wow.
Dude, it's so bad. It is so bad. And it's just like he kills everybody, and then the next morning everything is cleaned up, and he has all the high scores in the game, and then he winds up becoming a character in the game. He's like inside the game now. And the cool thing is, it's like Spawn was a character in the game, because you get to see Spawn in there. And then you get to see the lady from the red dress from that other Image book that's out. The hell is it called? It's that conspiracy theory book. Totally forgot what it's called. But you see a little appearance in there from her there. This book was awesome. I love this book so much, because we grew up playing in arcades.
Right, yeah.
And that's where this took place. Like, it felt like it took place in like the 80s or early 90s or something like that. So it was a lot of fun. It really was. Yeah,
it sounds like it. If there was an issue I would have read, it probably been that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Here we get a comment about it right here. FC says Silver Coin issue 6 and number 1 have been the best so far. Issue 6 reminds me of us skipping school to play Killer Instinct when it came out. Nice touch by the writer to make him a lockable character. Yeah, that was definitely a phenomenal read. Really good. So
I spent many a day in an arcade as a kid.
My God. I can't tell you the amount of times I spent playing fighting games. Like, it started off with Street Fighter, then it was Mortal Kombat, then you had Killer Instinct, and then
Tekken,
Tekken, yeah. I mean, you got Virtual Fighter, you got like, all those games,
Yep.
So really cool stuff.
I remember the first time I played Virtual Fighter, and I played as the drunk dude. I was like, man, this is crazy.
But he's like, I'm like, what is this guy? You know?
Does a backflip and then lands on his stomach, and is like,
it's like, what are you? So funny. Virtual Fighter. I really like Killer Instinct though too.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that game. All right, so let's move on to Batman issue 116. What'd you think?
I mean, it's like every other issue of Batman at this point, right?
Yeah,
It's the same stuff. I mean, yes, there's the is Scarecrow dead or not, thread through this, and that's interesting to pick up on. Which
he's not dead.
he's not dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But the ending where the two parts of Poison Ivy, come to meet. We're finally going to get Poison Ivy back, which we haven't seen since Heroes in Crisis. So that's good, or before Heroes in Crisis. So yeah, I don't know. There was a beautiful art. A gorgeous book, but just I'm kind of over the story. I think at this point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I am too. And then we got a comment that says if Jorge Jimenez wasn't on the book, that he would skip it.
yeah, if the art didn't look as good as it does, I might skip it too. Honestly, it's I don't know. We've talked about this multiple times, and I think I even enjoy the book more than you and Kat. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's this magistrate stuff, this future state stuff. I'm so far over it, and I'm ready to move on to the next thing, and yet we're still getting this story.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
and I'm going to be really interested to see, where all these new characters go, right?
Yeah.
You got Punchline that's been in prison all this time. So you're not really doing anything with her. She's in like a couple backup stories right now.
Mhm.
But where are you going to go with the Gardener? Where are you going to go with, Miracle Molly? Where are you going to go with, who else did he create? Clown Hunter.
Yeah.
Ghostmaker
or whatever.
Like, where are you going to go once you leave?
Yeah.
Who is going to pick up these characters? Where are they going to go? Are they going to have legs? Like, the
Yeah.
only character I really see, honestly, is I can see that Punchline will be the popular one out of all these.
Yeah. Miracle Molly is serving her place here, and I do really like the character, and I like the backstory in that one shot, the Secret Files or whatever, how she came to be. But beyond this story, especially the way this story is going in this issue in particular, kind of poking holes in the whole theory behind what the Unsanity Collective or whatever they're called is. It makes me wonder, like, where does she go from here? Is she just going to go back to being who she was before? Is she going to be, and Gardner, we really still don't know that much about.
We don't know anything about her. So who's going to want to touch her?
Yeah.
We don't know the intent of her, really.
Right. Yeah. Ghostmaker's the only other one that's like, okay, they've kind of established his role in Gotham now. I could see something continuing with him at the very least, like another ally, like Knight and Squire, that kind of thing.
He's gonna die.
Maybe.
I think I truly think he's gonna die. I think either if he doesn't die here, which I don't think he will, because there's only one issue left before this is over, I think someone will kill him off.
Yeah, maybe. I could actually see him taking up the Bat mantle, i.e. like John Paul LaValle or whatever, back in the day. Like if Bruce decides to leave Gotham or whatever, I could see him kind of taking up the mantle for a while.
Right.
It would be weird, but I could see it. But we already have Tim doing that. I Am Batman, Tim Fox.
Right.
Kind of doing that. So.
And I just don't... Like, this guy just comes out of nowhere, all of a sudden, and then him to take over Gotham would be kind of shitty. Because
that's
you have
true.
all these other Robins out there, and it's just like, okay, like, we've seen stories before with Robins taking over Gotham. We can just as easily have that again. We don't need some Ghostmaker character to do that.
I agree. Yeah.
That supposedly Batman knew all this time, but we didn't know him.
Right. Yeah.
Now,
I will say,
did he ever bring him up in his entire history of being Batman, right?
Yeah.
Until right now, this run.
I will say there was a beautiful splash page featuring Ghostmaker in this issue. It's like he had his sword drawn, his kind of quarter turn, and it looked really good. But and
I think, like, I don't know what Tynion was planning when he created all these characters. I can't feel that he was going to create all these characters just for this story. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I don't know. It will be interesting to see where all these characters go. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think there were grand plans at play before things went a different direction. And
Right.
I think we could have seen all of these characters continue on in the future at various points. But I mean, now who knows? It's like back in the day, so many characters were created that now people pick up threads from some obscure reference, one issue appearances of random characters. So you could see that happening maybe like, 20 years from now. Oh, Miracle Molly, I remember her.
Oh
Kind of
man,
thing.
yeah.
But
I just think like maybe he was just created all these characters for obviously future stories
yeah,
because maybe he thought that he was going to be in a 4-year run or 5-year run for
yeah.
Batman,
Also for legacy purposes too. It's like
Yeah.
this is definitely his stamp on Batman and the DC universe as a whole. So not taken away from that at all. I hope somebody does something with some of these. I really like Miracle Molly, but I think Punchline, like you said, has the most legs.
Right,
So.
right. Yeah, we'll see. All right. So let's talk about A Thing Called Truth. What book was that?
It's an Image book. I actually didn't get a chance to read it. There were two books I
Okay.
didn't get to read, and that was one of them. So
Okay. All right. So
somebody asked in the comments if we had read Magic Order. That was the other one I did not get a chance to read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then let's talk about our number 3. What was your number 3 then this week?
My number 3 was actually Knighted, the book that you asked me if I'd read earlier.
It's mine too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that one. Interesting twist on Batman, basically.
Oh, it's a total Batman story,
yeah.
but what would happen if he died?
Yeah, and not only what would happen if he died, but what would happen if he was a jerk and a perv.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So basically, this random dude is like he gets turned down. He asks his girlfriend to marry him, and she's like, "No." In the middle of this restaurant, and he's just like,
"You're a loser."
Yeah, his whole world is just like destroyed, and he's actually trying to do the right thing. He's like, that gas main's going to explode, and he unties this thing, and it's the knight or whatever was tied to it because he was being a peeping Tom, and he falls to his death, and it's like, oh, what the heck's going to happen now? And he's brought into that world by the Alfred character. Who's basically like, thank you for killing this dude. He was a total jerk. And
he's
ruined my
Morgan
life.
Freeman.
Yeah, totally Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
absolutely. But he's like, now you got to be him because he actually did some good. So welcome to the asylum, dude.
Yeah,
basically.
He's like, you have no choice. You have to be the next knight because otherwise people are going to blame you for the murder.
Yeah.
And he's like, but thank you so much for killing him because that guy was an asshole.
Exactly.
So funny, dude. It was hilarious. I love that story. Now, this character is a cross between Batman and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He has a black and red suit, right? So black to represent Batman, red to represent Spider-Man. The character is more like a Peter Parker character because obviously he has like that Parker luck, His girlfriend said no, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, so now he's becoming the next hero. But yet now he's going to have all the toys and bells and whistles as Batman. So I'm really interested in this book. This definitely has me intrigued to see what the next issue is going to have to offer here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and just like Dragonfly and Dragonfly Man or whatever that was from Ahoy, that I really enjoyed. It's just this different take on the Batman mythos, and when you mix that up and you make it fun and you put an interesting twist on it, it's enjoyable, and that's what this was. So
yeah, absolutely.
It kind of made me just a tad bit sad because it's very similar to a story that I was working on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but there's a different kind of twist in mine, so I'm okay.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So that was our number 3. We both had the same, so that's
Yep.
cool. That's funny because I was like, oh, I don't know if Brant was going to read that book. That's why I wanted to ask you about it. Because, I only heard about that book about maybe a week and a half ago. And I saw it. I'm like, what is this rip-off Batman book that they're using, Frank Miller's cover art for,
Right.
And then I read the description. I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I actually like when the Lambo pulls up and he brings them inside the car and the car's driving, the body's flying around inside the car.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Parker Batman Lewis can't lose. I get the reference. Mike and I'll get the I don't know if you'll get the reference or
not. Okay, so what are we on? We did number 3, right?
Yeah.
So we're on Firepower issue 17. Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, again, this is a solid book. It did it make my top 5? No, it did not. It was my number 6. So just shy of my top 5. It's always a good read. But this, I don't know. This was
not
an
much
action
story
heavy
progression.
Yeah, there was an action heavy issue. You had the statue, the figure come to life finally, kind of just beating everybody up. Nobody's safe. The snakes are infecting everyone and turning everyone. And the real takeaway from this issue was that he doesn't consider Owen a threat, and I think that's where the daughter comes into play. Because it seemed like maybe in the past it was women that had the power. Right. There was some kind of reference to that. And so I think his daughter's going to be the real threat. And that's going to be the twist of this book, that the real firepower is his daughter, not him.
Daughter, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
It's like he knows the art of firepower, but she's going to be the one that has
to master it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's all I got from it, too. Mm-hmm. It was cool to see Shaw come out of that statue for once.
Yeah.
To see how powerful he was. And cool to see like the action scenes and whatnot. But besides that, it was typical Robert Kirkman book. He'll take a scene and just drag it out the entire issue. That's just what he does. And that's his writing style,
Yeah. So yeah, it's still, one of my favorite books, and it's still a solid read. But yeah, it's not that, okay, got to put that in my top 5 kind of material.
Right, exactly. All right. I didn't read this, but you read Crushing Lobo issue 6?
Yeah, this series started off so strong, and it's still fun. It's still enjoyable. It's still the same kind of tone, but I'm bored of this chase trying to find Lobo to exonerate herself, and that's kind of where we've been for the past 3 issues. And that's what this whole issue is. She goes to Space Vegas. It's literally called Space Vegas, and is trying to find him, and finds a bunch of people that look like him. And she's like, I don't know why so many people look like Lobo. And it's kind of, I think it's trying to tease that he's got a bunch of, kids around the universe that are kind of half Caesarian or whatever. But and it's her misadventures on Space Vegas and trying to find him and getting drunk and all this kind of stuff. So again, fun, some jokes here and there, breaking the fourth wall a little bit, but not a lot to hang your hat on with this one. So
right,
yeah,
okay. Gotcha. All right, so now we're gonna move on to number 2. My number 2 was The Me You Love in the Dark. I love this book. I mean, it's just so good for me. I'm always disappointed when it ends because I always want more.
Yeah,
I'm actually scared of what's going to happen in the next.
Yeah,
like I really am. I mean, you could slowly see things build, and now you're at that point where it's just like, oh man, what's going to happen at the end of this?
Yeah, it's like, is Ro going to survive this? Or is it just going to be this creature in this house?
Right. And you know what this was starting to remind me of? Like it was starting to remind me of The Shining a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know, because she's been in this house and has not left the house at all. And you could see she was just starting to lose it a little bit, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of like the Haunting of Hill House too. It's like if they hadn't escaped, you don't know if they escaped actually. At the end of that, it's like there's this room that they could keep them in forever, and it's just one of those kind of stories.
What if that ghost is not real?
Oh wow!
What if she was slowly losing it this whole time, and she is the one that kills the agent that walks through that door?
That would be a twist I had not seen coming until just now. I hadn't even thought about that. That could
all that is in her head because she's literally gone cuckoo.
Right. Yeah, just by hearing like little creaks and stuff, and just slowly her mind, just kind of broke down through the isolation.
Yeah,
that could very well. Yeah,
like she's locked herself in that house, saying, "I got to do these paintings," and man. What if that happens?
Yeah.
Now I really need to get this last
right. You're gonna have to wait a little bit, a few weeks. Yeah,
but
crazy.
Let's take note on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take note and see if I'm right when this book comes out.
If that happens, you called it here.
Yeah. Crazy. So Get Lost in Comics says, wait, so Ro kills the agent? Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the ghost is in her head. The ghost is not real. It's a manifestation from her mind going crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so she is the one at the end of the day that actually kills the agent.
Yeah.
So
she has been drinking a lot of wine.
Yeah, she has.
Never know. Yeah, in Mike Shyamalan. Yeah, that's I like that. There's actually a show called The Servant that is on right now. It's like about this woman who lost her baby. It's on Apple TV, and she doesn't realize she lost her baby.
Oh,
and so like they gave her like this lifelike doll but this servant comes in to take care of the baby, and all of a sudden the baby's real again, and it's like, what the heck is happening here? So yeah, it's crazy.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
So all right, cool. So that was so my number 2. So what was your number 2?
My number 2 was Darkhawk number 3.
Okay. I like this issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I just liked some of these other comic books better. What I missed out of this book though was I love the humor in the last issue, and then we didn't get that. This was a much more serious issue because he found out that his friend died. And then the ending was weird. So whenever you have action sequences in this book, it was just like when he found the amulet and then all of a sudden he became the hero and he went to go save it. Like it seemed very rushed, right?
Yeah.
Same with this here. Like he's doing battle in these scenes. All of a sudden, like he gets his hand chopped off and he falls into the ocean and he's like naked. And it's just like, what's going on there? Like,
yeah.
And then he's trying to discover his powers. I don't know if you knew this or if you realized this, but if you look in the panels, you see old school Darkhawk actually showing him like how to do these powers. Did you?
I missed that. No, I did not notice that. I missed that completely.
It was. Let me see if I can find the book. Let's see if I can show you to you.
While you're looking for that, I agree. Like that sequence where like he's underwater and naked and all that stuff. I was confused by. I didn't understand what they were trying to show, what they were trying to illustrate in that scene. So I completely get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
but
right now,
I liked the seriousness of it and how he dealt with finding out his friend's dead and confronting the guy that, the guy in the bar and trying to find out who killed him and all of that. And,
I like that until we got to the end of the book. Okay, so if you're right here in this page right here, you go into the very bottom of it. right? And you look right here, it shows old
Oh
school
yeah.
Darkhawk telling him how to use like his chest beam or whatever it
Yeah.
is, right?
Okay.
And then here you show him, he's showing you that he has the claws in his hand.
Right.
And that's old school Darkhawk right there.
Yeah.
And so if you look at his suit, the new Darkhawk suit, like it's like it shows it in like his like in the red parts. Like that's where it just didn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
So I was like, that's kind of weird. But most of the story was good. Like I liked it. It was just
Yeah.
those last few pages that just didn't make real sense to me.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I liked when he took the helmet off and saw, and what he saw was like, oh crap, because
I did like
we
that
know,
too.
yeah, and kind of musing like, why am I shorter when I'm darker? Because he's a basketball player. So that's funny because usually you get bigger like when you transform to something, and he's getting smaller because he's so tall. So little stuff like that. But yeah, no, I completely agree that last part was a little confusing.
Right,
So,
right. So yeah, that's right. So this makes this can see like that's where he
yeah,
saw all those images, like right on his
right,
chest plates.
yeah.
Just weird. I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to do there, right?
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
So, all right. So we talked about Radiant Black. We talked about Darkhawk. So now we'll just go on to our number one, and I'm sure your number one was Dark Knights of Steel.
Yep.
Yeah, that was mine too.
Yeah. Such a good book.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So chopping block.
Yep.
New burn for you, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty likely just because I don't think I'm gonna, like you said, we read so many books. I can
Right.
see myself dropping off of it. So
Right. And then Human Target.
yeah, I was kind of a similar thing. I was disappointed by this. I loved the Human Target TV show like so much. I was so mad when it got canceled. It was a really good show. But I didn't have a whole lot of history with the comic version of the character.
Mm-hmm.
This is Tom King, and this book was typical Tom King storytelling, and it felt like every Tom King story I've ever read. Which some of those I really love. Like Vision is like I think his best work for me.
Right.
But this one just it was that very similar tone, and maybe I got too much of it in Batman that I was just kind of tired of it. And I just didn't find myself caring enough about this particular story. So Human Target is he's a character that basically takes the place of somebody that is trying to get killed, or that somebody's trying to kill. So in this story, he starts off taking the place of Lex Luthor to protect Lex Luthor, and he takes a gunshot, and ultimately he dies because he's been poisoned, and it's a murder mystery of who killed the Human Target. Basically, worked backwards. The storytelling is so I don't know. It was a little boring, and it was a little like, do I care who killed Human Target? I don't think I do. So yeah,
Right. Yeah. So I thought about this multiple times about trying to pick this up. I read the description. It sounded kind of cool.
yeah,
And then like I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh man, it's Tom King. I'm like, he could have a good first issue, and then this thing just becomes total crap as time goes along.
yeah.
So I was just like, I just said, you know what? I'm gonna pass on this one. And that's what I did.
Yeah, and see that's what happened with me with what is it, Strange Adventures, or the one with Adam Strange. I got like halfway through that one, and it kind of did that. It lost me, and I just never went back to it. And I was afraid the same thing was going to happen with this one. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So that's it for the chopping block. And let's see. So let's talk about most anticipated books this week.
Yeah. So not a whole lot, but there's some big ones that we want to talk about. So we'll get to those in just a minute. But we mentioned May's book earlier in the show. So issue 3 comes out for that.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah. Strange Academy we talked about as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this one has the secret of Zoe is like the selling point for this issue. Emily takes a field trip, and we also learn the secret origin of Zoe Laveau. So diving into one of the characters a little bit more, so that's cool. And then lost my page there. We got Miles Morales Spider-Man number 32 following up on that Taskmaster stuff from last issue.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that just to see
Yeah.
like what's going to happen with Taskmaster. What's his deal? Why did he capture Starling? What I notice about these Miles Morales issues, they're really quick reads, like
Yeah.
really quick. Not a lot of like this really seems like decompressed storytelling. I feel like you could literally probably tell the story in one issue. That's what
Yeah,
I'm getting at. If you really wanted to,
probably.
but I'm still looking forward to it because Taskmaster's in it.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought it was the last issue was pretty good. So, and like you said, I like Taskmaster, so I want to see what happens with that. A new book called My Date with Monsters, issue 1. You've marked down here.
Yes.
So, yeah,
So I think this one's from Aftershock. I could be
yeah, I think
wrong.
so.
So if you read the description of this book, it sounds interesting. So what happens is the government is like using this experiment. They're experimenting with like taking people's dreams
Mm-hmm.
and using it for their own purpose, but it obviously went wrong. So
Okay.
what's going on is that the people's dreams are real. Yeah, they're real or they're fake. Like it comes into real life.
Okay.
So I found that a quite interesting concept there. So I want to see what this book is about. Like, really, it sounds cool. Like you're dreaming, right? And this comes in real Earth. Like,
Yeah.
what are these dreams going to do to people? So this could be a very bad thing for people living on Earth right now.
Yeah.
Think about all the people in the world. Everybody dreams. So if your dream comes to life, there's going to be a lot of hell that breaks loose on planet
Yeah, for
Earth.
sure. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And it's also from the writer of Bunny Mask, which I know you also read.
Oh,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes,
so that's cool.
absolutely.
Nice. All right, and yeah, there's another new. I think this one's from Image. What's the farthest place from here?
Okay, so I have no idea what this book is about. I totally forgot. I remember I read the description like last week. But I love the title, and I
Yeah.
was like, this sounds pretty cool. So I want to try this out.
Yeah.
When it comes to Image #1 comic books, like most of the time I try them out just to see, you know, if it might capture my attention or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then if I don't like it, I'll drop it. And it's not a big deal for me. But I love the title of this, and it sounded intriguing enough for me to kind of pick it up and check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of intriguing me now. It's from the creative team that did Four Kids Walk into a Bank.
That's right. Yes, from
Yeah.
Black Mask.
Yeah, so it's a post-apocalyptic coming-of-age story. The world has ended. All that remains are gangs of children living among the ruins. But Sid believes there must be something more out there. When she disappears into the wastelands, her gang will risk everything to bring her home.
That's right.
Story about the things that matter most: your survival, your loved ones, and your record collection.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's cool. So kind of like a Walking Dead with kids, but
Yeah,
no zombies.
yeah.
Okay, cool. And then we got Robin and Batman #1.
Yeah,
Which
so you get the
yeah,
early days of Robin and Batman, and the main reason why I wanted to pick this up because Jeff Lemire is writing it.
right. Yeah, that's what I was about to say too. Yeah, so Lemire is all over the place these days.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's good he's getting work because people are
yeah,
appreciating what he's doing.
absolutely. Yeah. Excuse me. And then the final book we had to talk about is I know a book that we're both excited about, which is Venom #1 from
Oh,
Al Ewing. Yeah,
how long ago was this book supposed to come out? I mean, you're
right.
talking like months already that this book was
Yeah,
supposed to come out. And it's finally going to be here. And I cannot wait to see what Ewing and Ram V are both writing this. So
yeah,
I think I'm just keeping my fingers crossed with it. I hope it doesn't become this like cosmic or galactic thing where it's going to be
yeah.
boring. Like I want Dylan to be in control of the symbiote and keep him on Earth. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what route Ewing takes with it. It's like you know that I wasn't a Immortal Hulk fan, so it's going to be. I hope that I like this version of Venom, and we'll see.
Yeah.
But I'm a little nervous actually. So
He's got big shoes to fill. I
yeah,
know
for
you
sure.
didn't read really the last volume of Venom, right? Did
I
you?
I I got into it, not the whole volume. Like I started it, and for whatever reason it wasn't grabbing me, and then I got into it during the the King in Black stuff, I think, or
Okay, so
right
you got
before
it towards
that.
the end, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So then I finished it, obviously.
Right.
So
So I read every issue of that run and I
right.
loved it. It was you could tell that there was a story in place right from the beginning and it led all the way to King in Black. And seeing that journey was amazing. And again, Donny Cates had a grand plan in mind, and he took his time telling it. And
Yeah.
when he got to the end, he got to the end, and that was that. And I'm just hoping that Ewing has that same type of vision. Um, I'm scared because I feel like the best work he's done is Immortal Hulk, and everything else that I've been reading from him, I do not enjoy. So I'm
Yeah.
really scared for what he's going to do here. The person that could save him here could save him is Ram V, because since they're sharing the duties of writing this book. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll have some good stuff to talk about next week. But that is it for most anticipated.
All right. And that is it for the show. So, Brent, do you have anything else that you want to say before we close off?
Yeah, I just posted the link in there. I do want to remind everybody that Kat also has a Kickstarter going on right now for Slice of Life, her and Phil, based on their webtoon, or it is their webtoon in physical form. So go check that out at you can check it out at tinyurl.com/slice of life one, or just search Slice of Life on Kickstarter. It'll come right up. And then, of course, once again, mine, which is In the Land of the Dragon, issue 1, a cyberpunk fantasy comic. And you can check that out at lastemberpress.com/dragon, which I'm trying to type again. There we go. And that's got about 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks left to go. So check both of those out.
All right. So there you guys have it. Check out those Kickstarters, guys. Make sure you back them up. And, they definitely appreciate it. Okay.
Absolutely.
And of course, guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We love bringing it to you. As always, guys, if you like this live stream, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels, either wherever you're watching it from Comic Book Weekly, or you can subscribe to Comic Book Corner 2.0. Hit the bell for notifications. Follow us on all the social medias, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course, YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. And guys, until next week, enjoy those comic books. Happy new comic book day. And hopefully we'll get Kat back on here for a full show. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great night.